Hello and welcome everyone to episode 131 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
Hello, everybody. I am Brandon Bovia, of course, letterer of manga like Dragon Ball Super, Kaiju number 8, and many, many more, you know? We are quickly approaching the 600 mark. Well,
yeah.
This little show we do.
Believe it or not, we've actually hit 600 chapters next week, which is weird.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense since we're over that halfway point and whatnot, as far as chapters released as of right now. But of course, we'll always be over halfway now.
It'll never not be weird.
Yeah, it's funny going into the Shonen Jump app and just having to scroll further and further each time to reach where we're at.
Yeah. Like originally, because at least on like the iOS app, you can like sort ascending or descending. So like when we first started, it was like, oh yeah, chapter 1 at the top, sure. And then now here we are, almost at 600, and it's like, no matter which way I set it, I'm going to have to scroll to get to these chapters.
Yeah, and I'm still going from 1 to 600 because, well, I don't want to see the covers of the One Piece mangas because they post that on the site. And
True.
I had another thought. It's going to be really weird when we do get closer and catch up get really close to catching up, because we won't have SBSs anymore.
Yeah, I had thought about that multiple times over the years, and I don't think I ever brought that up to you, but the SBSs will be like they're on like the wiki and stuff, so like they just won't be as convenient.
Oh, okay. I'll have to keep an eye out.
I know when that cutoff is, because it's when we switch from the volume versions to the weekly versions, and that is somewhere in the mid to late 800s.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize the volume versions are so far behind.
Well, no. So the volumes are out. They don't update them on the app.
Oh, they never bother updating on the app.
Yeah. So it is like timed to when the Shonen Jump app's current iteration launched, which was like the end of 2018.
Oh, wow. That's weird.
It is. It's a little weird. Yeah.
I thought it was just a thing they would update as time went on, because I figured since they showed the volume next to the chapters, so you have that set.
Right. Oh, yeah.
That they would include the SBS in there as well.
No, yeah. Well, we'll be SBS-less in about, I don't know,
200 chapters.
200 chapters or so. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure we'll find a way to integrate them somehow.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll manage something. But either way, we should actually probably get talking about this set, because we're done with the flashback, and it really is just that let's check in on how everybody's doing aspect that we do so often between arcs.
Yeah, this really is, again, just like picking up the pieces post-war, kind of like everything's calming down. We're just, what are we going to do next? Really is what this set's all about.
So let's get to it with chapter 591. Are you sure about that? And look at this. We got Crocus, Rayleigh, and Laboon all hanging out at the hot spring.
Although, given Laboon's size, I have to imagine that Laboon is very far away in order for this perspective to work.
Yeah, it's a little odd when you think about that. But I love the little character work where Crocus is drinking his sake the typical way, just has a little glass that he pours into. Meanwhile, Rayleigh has 2 sake bottles, just chugging each.
Yeah, he's ready to go. I also love Crocus. He's got a little bit of a belly on him, but Rayleigh, he's still jacked.
Oh, and we see how he is still jacked as we get into this chapter.
There's a little bit of foreshadowing going on here.
A little bit, because we go to the calm belt where Law's crew sees one of the big Neptunians just get killed. Like, just
it's dead.
Out.
Something killed it. I couldn't see what did it.
What the heck? And all of a sudden, a man comes out and he's just like, what a nuisance. Oh, hey, we met in Sabaody, didn't we? My ship was sunk in a storm, so I had to swim here. I don't move like I used to. I'm guessing I'm getting old. And here's Rayleigh.
Oh, I guess I'm getting old.
Yeah.
He says.
It's like, oh dear God, how strong are these people? And that's when this guy's like, wait, a storm? There aren't any storms in the calm belt. You mean you swam all the way from another region?
Yes.
So he swam across the calm belt.
And not only that, they put two and two together. So the one fighting that Neptunian was you?
That is so good. God, it makes sense that this man is the first mate of Roger.
Yeah, that he just, because we're basically like right across from the island of women. So like it's just like I just love that he swam here. Like, yeah, sure, it's fine. He's fine. Yeah. And that again, he's here because he just assumes Luffy is here.
Yeah.
as we'll see in a bit, is sort of the powers of deduction are great.
Yeah, very, very much so. But we got cut back to the island of women as all the girls from before are celebrating that Luffy's back and he's feeling better, and Hancock's going to deliver him food, and they're all like, we got to give him a proper welcome, and I want to pull on Luffy some more, and I should make him some clothes without any frills.
Yes. And I love this quick cut to Grandma Neon and Hancock, where Grandma's just like, I keep telling you, just because he hugged you doesn't mean you're married. It's just like, then what do we have to do? It's like, how do I put this? It's just like, she just can't.
It's so deal good. With this. Luffy and Jinbei come back after their little therapy session. It's like, hey, what are you doing here? I was going to use the Viva card to go back to Sabaody, so where are the others? I doubt they're all there yet. And he's like, oh, no, I give my card to Shaki, since I couldn't go anywhere unless I did that. It's like...
So, like, he would just get lost?
They did say how bad his sense of direction is, so...
That's true. Maybe it's a first mate thing, I don't know.
Yeah, it must be. It's impressive to me that even Jinbei is like, oh my gosh, that's Rayleigh. Like, even he's impressed.
I mean, yeah, I love that. Like, he's a living legend, and even just jumping ahead a little, like, slightly, but even Law on the next page is just like, there he is.
Yeah, and Luffy gets his hat back, and Law just left because he said you should rest for about 2 weeks. So he is the reason you're alive. And all the men on Law's submarine are like, we came all the way here. We didn't get to see Amazon lilies. It's like, and I wish there were bears.
I kind of liked having there's something very fun and lighthearted about Law's crew, just sort of with the past couple chapters, like the weird little like side commentary they have.
Yeah, it's quite fun. Yeah. It's a fun little crew.
They're very lighthearted compared to Law himself, who seems like he's always up to something.
And he even knows this whole thing with D. He was like, seems that D will always attract a storm.
What does he know?
Everybody seems to know something except Luffy, I swear to God.
Yeah.
But hey, the sisters are excited to see Rayleigh because they owe him their lives. They're excited about Luffy being... Hancock's excited about him being conscious. And so she brought him food, and she can't even look him in the face.
Yeah. You can't even look him in the eye. You're talking about marrying him?
And I love this bit where Jinbei's stomach gurgles, and he's like, no, that food's not for you. You can only have a little. And then Jinbei's like, Luffy, eat what you can. To eat is to live. And they just start chowing down.
Again, Jinbei, he has settled into his like uncle role at this point.
I am totally down for that.
Yes.
But I started to like with this, a letter from Shaki. I think Shaki might originally be from the Isle of Women.
Oh, interesting. What makes you think that?
It's just like the fact that Grandma Neon knows her is like, thank you. She never changes and whatnot. And she's exactly the way she was when you were in Sabaody. So either I guess they just met up with him or whatnot. But I just got this like little, I don't know, gut feeling that she might be from Amazon Lily. I could be completely wrong, of course, but
at the very least, like I was interested that they all had history with each other here. That it was like they were the ones who helped them after they escaped.
Right. So it's cool to see these relationships and how they're all together and just they're all friends. It's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that even Hancock's like, oh, it's Rayleigh.
I also it's like, oh, how safe is Luffy from the Navy if you found him so easy? And he's like, no, I don't think he'd actually suspect him being here because I found out what direction Luffy went from the man who blasted him away. And it just so happened that the Island of Women lay in that direction. And we get a little flashback to him and Kuma. He's like, hey, I'm a leader of the Revolutionary Army and I want to help the Straw Hats escape this place. I apologize for being so abrupt. I don't have much time left. And it's just like, that's the most humanity we've seen from Kuma ever. And now it's all gone.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, it's we already kind of knew, even back at Sabaody, that he had kind of ulterior motives, that it wasn't just like, all right, like, I'm on orders to kind of, mess up the Straw Hats. It's interesting that whatever Kuma was up to, Rayleigh seems to know now.
Yeah, Rayleigh just lays it out. I was like, all right, I retraced the steps in the Paramount War, and I figured I'd probably end up here. Nobody would have suspected because of Hancock's legendary hatred of men in the government, so why would she sneak him onto a government vessel? And that's when Shaki's like, it all makes sense if we assume Hancock's fallen for our little monkey. He's quite the catch.
There we go. And then, just Shaki puts it all together. It's like, if I were Hancock, I'd fool the Navy by hiding him on the island of women, So it's just women's intuition. Yep,
women's intuition, and they know he's safe. And that's when we get something interesting from Rayleigh. He's like, hey, you said you were going to Sabaody, didn't you? And it's like, Luffy's like, yeah, I want to see my crew. Are you sure? Don't you remember what happened to you guys the last time you were on the island? And just the flashback to like, we have to run away. We can't beat them now.
We can't beat them right now.
Are you really going to get together just to repeat that issue? So, I have a suggestion, but it's up to you whether you follow that suggestion. And now begins our look at the rest of the crew. We're finally seeing the rest of the crew beyond just the title pages.
And it's interesting, too, because, of course, the scene cuts from there, so we don't know what Rayleigh is up to. We learn part of it, but he's definitely, I feel like he's scheming a little bit.
That's the thing, is that from this point on, it is essentially all set up. All five chapters.
It is all set up.
We get nothing but set up here, which is, I gotta say, a little frustrating.
I felt overwhelmed, if anything.
Yeah, I think that's the issue, is that you get all this info, all this stuff, all this build up, and it's like, what's next? What's next? What's next? And you don't get it. It's like, nope, gotta wait. So apologies for that. Just how it ended up. But, we get to check in on Usopp, who, of course, last time grew fat, but he has seen the news of what happened to Luffy and Ace, and he is desperate to escape the center of the island. But turns out this island has something special about it. The further you go from the center, the stronger the creatures become, and they push you back into the forest.
This feels very video gamey.
It's very video gamey. So once you're in, you can't get out again. No one has ever escaped this island alive. And that's also an issue because gigantic insects, birds, and sea monsters and Neptunians gather here, including this sea hippo, drawn by the yummy aromas of all the food on this place. However, the island itself is going to move because it's not actually an island. Bowen Island is actually a massive carnivorous plant, the Stomach Baron.
Which is actually a great twist.
Yeah. All this food, and it's just a lore, which makes you think about what you're eating, but thank God it's a plant, but oh my God, there's something really disturbing about it all.
Yeah, for sure. I hope Usopp makes it out okay.
Yeah. But we see his desperation of why he wants to get out. It's not for fear. As I said before, it's because Luffy's brother was killed in battle. Can you imagine how he's suffering right now? If I'm not with him when he needs me the most, how can I call myself his friend? And that's the key point about a lot of these chapters this time around, is seeing
that's kind of what it is. It is sort of like we're going to see all of the Straw Hats kind of like strengthen their resolve. Like, they're all going to kind of react to the news one by one and be like, I need to be there for Luffy. Is sort of like the pattern.
So, we can easily go super in depth with these, but I'm going to try to pick and choose what we have here because it does follow a lot of the same beats. But in Chopper's case, in the Birdie Kingdom, he has brokered peace between the birds and the people there. The birds and them are friends because they just need the plants that grow on the tree. They're not actually going after your eggs, so we're all friends. We're all good here. Everything's settled, and Chopper's like, okay, let's go to Sabaody. Let's hitch a ride on this bird. And hey, we got a newspaper from the news coup. And that's when he sees that Luffy did something. But he doesn't know, but why now? We don't see what that something is. And this is absolutely different from what Usopp saw, which was the brother dying. Luffy did something else now.
Yes. It's how to put this. We'll get to this in a couple of chapters, like during this set. But I do kind of like the way that this is framed with having Chopper receive this news while he's leaving, I think, well, we'll come back to that in a couple chapters, because I think it's actually really brilliant.
Yes.
If you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, especially in comparison to the others.
Yeah, for sure.
Chopper sort of stands out in that way. So yeah, again, brilliant setup happening here, and it definitely is enough to like, what's going on? What did Luffy do? Like, there's some really good hooks here.
Yes, yeah.
But we do have an SBS. We get the most awkward axolotl name ever. Axo boy. And then we get somebody realizing that Oda does not recycle old pictures for flashbacks. He always redraws them. And that's because Shueisha pays us a manuscript fee, and it's by the page. So since we're getting paid by the page, I thought it'd be kind of cheap to recycle stuff I'd drawn in the past. Man just wants to work. I mean, I'm sorry. If I try to find a way to make it easy money, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, the work ethic, man, I got to respect it. But also, I wonder if that still holds true even now. I'm unsure. I can't think of a scene off the top of my head where I was like, oh, that's obviously just like the previous panel. But like, it's sort of interesting too, because it makes him revisit old stuff in like his current style, which I do think makes for kind of an interesting, like, we'll see a couple of those here. I think in the last of the set where we start getting like flashbacks and stuff. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
It kind of helps it mold and change. And I think it also helps prevent to see such a stark difference between his opening style and his current style.
True. Yeah, it would be really weird to just have like,
Especially
here's this
Nami.
old art from 99. Yeah, especially Nami. It's just like, here's a flashback to this old art from 99.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff, but let's go ahead and get to our next chapter, 592, Cheer. And I gotta say, I did not expect the thing about Aki Inu and Kizaru hanging out in kimonos. But good God, does Aki Inu look like a Yakuza now that we see that tattoo fully?
Yeah, no, that tattoo's awesome. And he's got a sword too on his other arm. I think I might know what that's about, but I'm also like, huh.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that one. His bonsai tree certainly is interesting.
Yeah, how does he not burn it?
Yeah, but good God, just. Again, the man is just Yakuza. That's all there is to it. And
he is.
When you see Kizaru next to him, it's like, yeah, he's kind of Yakuza too.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Time to check in on Zoro and Perona, where it turns out they ended up on Gloom Island, the remnant of the Muggy Kingdom. An ancient castle still looms over the ruined land, but a few years ago, a certain man took up residence there. And Perona is crying over the fact that Moria was killed in the war, so it seems like Doflamingo did his job.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, wow, Doflamingo just really did, in quotations, because we know otherwise already, kill Moria. And that's when we find, we have somebody talking to her who's like, oh, the actual master of this place is like, hey, go somewhere else if you want a whale. It's like, I'm mourning. And hey, couldn't you at least, give me some kind words or bring me some cocoa? I'm a guest. It's like, I never invited you. You people barged in while I was away. And then when we see who the master of this castle is, it's freaking Mihawk.
The vibes match perfectly. Like,
oh yeah.
Mihawk is a Castlevania character.
He's just fulfilling his role as Dracula.
He is. Yeah, he really, really is. This is Dracula's castle. It's interesting that he, I mean, I guess because he was like, yeah, I just saw Moria, so like he's probably alive. Like he doesn't believe the article.
Yeah, it's not very believable at all. So it's like, who knows why they've actually decided to declare him dead, but very odd. Meanwhile, we go take a look at Zoro, who's fighting some sword-wielding monkeys.
Yeah.
He slashes through one, and I love how it's like it has this deep gash, and it just like licks his finger and then tries to rub it. It's like, spit's not going to help it. Where'd you learn such stupid folk remedies?
Yeah. And then they all start like ooking, and they're just like, Zoro's clearly trying to leave, but they're blocking his way.
Yeah. Something about Zoro interacting with animals is always hilarious.
It is, yeah, because he's not having this nonsense. He's just like, get out of my way.
But the monkeys actually run off when Hawkeye shows up. It's like, oh, you're still here, Rowanoa. You ran out of the castle a while ago. It appears you turned the boat I gave you to so much flotsam. He's like, just grab a couple pieces of wood and paddle away from here. And it's like, where are you hurrying off to when you're so injured? I was like, well, you told me what happened to Luffy. I can't stay here. I have to go to Luffy. It's how it all goes. That's the common thread. But we learn about his sort of challenge here is that the monkeys he's facing are called humandrills, which is a great name.
Great name.
They imitate people, and if they lived near peaceful folk, they'd learn to be peaceful. But this land was racked by war until 7 years ago. And when I arrived, this whole island was nothing but blood and smoke. And there were so many corpses, there was nowhere to stand.
Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell? So the baboons grew up watching bloodthirsty humans and learned how to use weapons. They're warriors of the forest. Humans with their weapons and intelligence are superior to animals, but animals that are armed with weapons can be deadly too. So these guys are actually really good at what they do.
I kind of like that. Mihawk here is just kind of like he's trying to take care of Zoro. He's like, look, they don't come to the castle, so come with me.
Yeah, he's like, no, you're not telling me what to do. I'm going to see now.
Yeah, and he's just like, all right, yeah, whatever. So it's so fascinating seeing Zoro and Mihawk interact after all this time, way back freaking over 500 chapters ago in Baratier.
And Zoro also not attacking Mihawk, because we saw he had to challenge Mihawk right away.
Yes.
When they first met. He felt he had to do that. But this time, he's not concerned about that at all. He just wants to get to Luffy.
Exactly.
But I think I also know that he knows some part of him, he's way too weak. If he can't handle Kuma, I don't think he can handle the strongest swordsman in the world.
Certainly. Especially now that we've seen Mihawk try slightly more.
Seriously. But it's time to go to the Sky Island of Witheria, where... Hey, remember that Nami's a thief?
Yeah, she's just been caught stealing all sorts of things, just getting into trouble. I kind of really like this one. It's just fun to see her interact with a bunch of relatively well-meaning people. Yeah,
exactly. They're kind of nice. But she stole weather balls from their weather patch and their research notes. And she's like, what do you expect? I'm a pirate and a thief. She's like, she's a horrible human being. How dare her? We're going to just toss her in prison, basically. It's like, no, just let me out. I gave back everything I stole. It's like, no, this is a bad one. And they're just like, why did you try to steal a balloon and get out to the blue sea all of a sudden? If you used it without training, you'd be killed. And that's when, of course, she saw Luffy in the newspaper and what he went through. And she starts crying for him. It's just like Ace died right before his eyes. Great. And I didn't even know about it. He'll definitely go to our rallying point. So I have to go to him before he completely breaks down. And it's like, oh, we have to let her go. We've kidnapped her girl and made her cry. It's inhuman. All right, here's the key. We'll let you out of here. I'm so sorry. And she's like, she just immediately takes off, is stealing one of the men to help her guide the weather balloon. And it's like, bye, thank you.
Yeah, and then she just it's like she jumps off.
The great thing I think is those were crocodile tears, but as the guys that she kidnapped, she's like, oh, your crocodile tears haven't stopped, and she's just like, shut up. Yeah,
so I was gonna point that out because it's like she's crying for real, but it's also like I'm gonna take advantage of this, which is just great.
Which makes Nami so wonderful. But it's time to check in on Frankie on Baltimore, the Winter Island. And obviously, people are a little upset that he's intruded on Dr. Vegapunk's laboratory. He can't shoot at him because the lab is a treasure. He's the pride of this nation, the pride of Baltimore. And this is where he spent his childhood, and it's filled with his memories. So the fact that the mountain's so strangely shaped, he did that when he was a child. And he was...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's insane. It was supposed to save everybody from the cold, but this geothermal system was far too ahead of its time. The blueprints were completed, but the existing technology couldn't catch up to it, and he didn't have the funding he needed to perfect the inventions. So, of course, this gets Frankie's like, oh, that is a super tearjerker. Yeah.
And I love this. This feels almost, God, I can't think of the word I'm thinking of. But the way that they're like, we're still awaiting his return. Don't go into the lab where the self-destruct button is.
The self-destruct button.
Yeah,
the self-destruct button.
It's just like, all right.
And they're just like, no, don't push that button. It's like, I'm not going to press it. Why would you install a self-destruct button anyway? It's like. And if he sees all the blueprints, it's like, wow, he really did come up with some great inventions when he was just a kid. The right, though, as a scientist, I don't want to wreck any of this stuff.
One fun quick detail is that the Frankie comments that they're at least a couple hundred years ahead of their time.
Oh my god, I missed. I forgot to reread. That
also
part.
accurate. Also, we'll get to that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if One Piece introduces time travel.
Well, certainly at the very least, we're learning like sort of offhand information about Vegapunk, but the idea that he's such a genius that he was trying to make stuff a couple hundred years ahead of like where current technology is just like, oh god. Mm-hmm. But also I guess explains a lot of the current technology too, where you're just like, how does this world have, all this?
You could really trace it back to Vegapunk.
Yeah.
The man figured out how to feed devil fruit to objects.
Yes.
Frankie's trying to find his way. It's like, oh, hey, a pirate symbol. This ought to help me out.
He did the chopper thing.
Yeah. And nope, blew it up. This event will be remembered whenever people speak of Futureland as the nightmare of Baltimore. He just nuked the lab.
Yeah, and I love that he's just like, can I ask you one thing? If for some reason I did happen to press that button, would it be my fault? And Frankie just putting up his glasses. It's just great. And I love the kind of recurring gag of just Frankie with the thumbs up in the background. He's great.
It's so good, but it's just like, oh, Frankie.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
And next up, it's time to check in on Brooke, who, hey, you know how we were so upset about Brooke last time? Where he just seemed like this girl was kidnapped and all he's doing is writing a song. Well, It turns out in Hungaria, I guess, on Lazy Bones Island, they finally captured the long-armed bandits, but because whenever they heard his song, they suddenly felt like they were bursting with courage and warrior spirits. So they picked up their weapon for the first time in their life and fought. So they rescued the girl, rescued all the other people kidnapped. They've stopped the long-armed bandits. It's all thanks to Brooke.
Yes.
Which thank goodness he changed.
I'm glad that this had a happy ending. Yeah, because in out of context, we're just like, what the hell?
I also like the detail that there's still a hole in the roof of that building where they summoned him.
Oh my god, I didn't notice that.
Oh gosh, but they all love Brooke. It's like, what a benevolent man you are. I feel like we can really change. He's just thinking to himself, is like, man, I hope you're all right, Luffy. You must be in terrible pain right now, but I got to get to you. And that's the crazy thing, is that the long-armed tribe of bandits want to kidnap the single-elbowed freaks and take them back home to open a circus.
Which is just hilarious. It's just great.
And then all of a sudden, these guys are like, hey, we should put these guys on display. We'll make a fortune. It's like, no. Then you'll be as bad as they are. And so, let's release them. It's like, no. I made a demonic pact with them. They're not, if you break your promise and do evil in this country, he'll eat your hearts. And
I love seeing Brooke get to be a little scary, taking advantage of the fact that he's a skeleton.
Yeah, it's pretty wonderful. And they're all like, oh, forgive us, we'll never come back here. And it's like, everybody lives happily ever after, and they immediately kidnap Brooke.
Yep, of course, yeah. These guys are no good, and they're just like, yeah, if we bring a living skeleton back home, we'll be rich.
Who needs the one-armed guys or the one-elbowed guys when we can bring back a living skeleton? So, yep. That's
Brooke's
it for Brooke.
Sold into the freak show.
Oh well. Poor Brooke. We do have an SBS. Nothing too major other than all the different shirts that Ace and Luffy wore when they were kids. And I love how Ace is all like bomb strike, violence, independence, pillage, killer, instinct.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Luffy's is all food.
Yes.
Egg mystery, shish kebab, lasagna, noodle maker. It's like, two very different boys.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and move on to chapter 593, news. And not a pairing I would have expected.
Yeah.
Aokiji and Tsuru. Not much to say, though. It's just like,
not really.
Yeah, it's just
eating some onigiri. Yep.
But now it's time to check in on Robin.
Robin's might be my favorite just in terms of the implications.
Yeah, it has the most to do with the wider world, it seems. other than maybe Vegapunk, where she learns that she was called the Light of Revolution as the revolutionaries searched for her for more than 10 years. Since you're the only survivor of the country that took on the world, O'Hara. So, you know,
I love the idea that, like, she's been hunted her whole life by people because of that incident, but it turns out the revolutionaries were trying to find her because they idolized her. So it's kind of a completely different dynamic.
Yeah, she easily could have become a revolutionary because Dragon wants to see her. And she recognizes this as like, what a strange twist of fate. So, you know, they want to take her to him. He's like, no, I don't need your protection. I have my own friends. It's like, oh no, you mean the Straw Hats? Yeah, we all know all about you. And that's when they show her the newspaper.
Yeah, there's that little hint where it's like he went missing after the war, but now he's back and he's done this crazy thing.
Yeah, and they want to show it to her right away because she's worried about him. It's like, okay, so it's not just the article is not just what he did at Marineford. It's something else after they couldn't find him. So now that the world knows that Luffy's alive.
Yes,
and they're going back through the bridge and. Here's a construction site from 300 years ago that are just falling into ruins because, well, they moved the nation along as the construction of the bridge progressed.
Yeah.
Why did they want to build it? It's Celestial Dragon just ordered it built.
I feel like I talked about this when we first checked in on Robin. I feel like this has to come back up in some way at some point in the future. And I'm saying that because I don't know if it does, but the idea that there's just this bridge that the Celestial Dragons made because they felt like it.
It's also in the East Blue.
Ah, that's also true.
We saw Celestial Dragons visiting, what was it, Loa? Near Windmill Village. So I wonder if this is part of that whole thing.
Yeah. I have one idea what this might be for based on current information, and that's all I'll say about that. but even that's kind of a stretch.
But interestingly, she doesn't get as shocked as Chopper did when she sees this newspaper. Instead, she just laughs. And that's where we leave it.
Yeah, is there something funny written on it? And she's just like, yes.
But now it's time to check in on the Kamabakta Kingdom. I'm sorry, Queendom. It should always be Queendom.
It should be, yeah. This scene destroyed me. It's so funny. And I was dreading it because, again, when we first checked in on Sanji, it was just like, oh, God, okay. I think Ivankov is the perfect character to kind of interact with Sanji and just kind of break him down.
Yes, absolutely. He finally has a good foil here.
Yes, exactly.
And we get all these wonderful faces from Sanjay. It's like, okay, this is Straw Hat's wanted poster. Here's Zoro's. Here's Nami.
He's bad.
Here's King of Snipers. So is this you? No. Then where's your poster? How do you know if you're really part of Straw Hat's ship, crew?
I love this that he can't accept it. The stupid Duval joke has come back up, and every time destroys me.
It's like this is you. No, but you're not wrong. The name on it is mine. It's not like you're experiencing an identity crisis. It's me. The guy on the weird wanted poster is definitely me. And
he starts coughing up blood. He can't accept it.
It's just like, it doesn't look like you. Then don't make me cough up my own blood to say this.
Again, this back and forth is what this needed, I think.
I love these two together. But
yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
Eva still refuses because if there's even a 0.1% chance of you being, a government goon, I am not telling you anything. He's like, all right, let me borrow a ship and I'm going to go meet Luffy at the rendezvous spot. Well, I'm not giving you a ship either. And it's like, then I'll swim. It's like, I can feel your passion. If you want information about Luffy, I won't let you have it.
Of course.
To come back. As everybody cheers.
Sanji's like, shut up, you punks.
I love this queendom.
It's great. It's so great. And then, of course, Sanji here, in his weakest moment, coughing up blood, and they're just like, oh, you look a bit feeble. We should seize the opportunity and put him in this lovely dress.
It's like, no, I'm a manly man who loves the ladies, so stay away from me. It's like, all right, I'm going to challenge you to a duel. I'm going to just steal your ship. It's like, do you want to know how Straw Hat Boy is? I'll tell you, Twirly Boy. Why the sudden change of heart? Well, because the whole world knows he's alive. But I don't know what he thinks he's doing. And Sanji finally sees the paper and it's like, all right, what's up with this? It's like, what's going on now? And that's when we got Inazuma. Got a transmission from Baltico. Turns out Dragon's contacting him.
And I love this idea. Dragon's just so casual, like, yeah, everybody knows now. Like,
Yeah, and it's like, this seems like they're okay with it because it's like, it turns out their mysterious boss actually has a soul because he has a son.
Which again, we have no who is this guy?
I know, right?
It feels like even the other revolutionaries are just like, we have no idea who this person is.
And this is the most serious we've ever seen him. And we've obviously seen him serious before, but this is the most serious. Ivankov is still utterly impressed by Luffy and doing all the crazy things he does. Obviously, they have a lot of stuff they want to talk to Dragon about since the jailbreak. And we get a new transponder snail, a white one that emits a psionic wave that prevents wiretapping.
Whoa,
that's handy.
I love it. It's like almost like super secret spy gear, but they're all freaking snails.
It's fascinating because it's like, all right, a council of our executives from around the world will be convened soon. The death of Whitebeard has destabilized the old world order. So the government's machinations are all in disarray. So I want to talk to you about what happened to Kuma as well. So, and then it's time to check in on Duval, who is still protecting the Thousand Sunny.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other kind of details to gleam on here, but it's nice to know that he's still doing it.
Yeah, the only detail that stood out to me as I'm looking at this is that there's somebody that looks like the traditional Son Goku on the where he says we're all in the same trade. He has the little crown that Son Goku wears. He has a pole. He has a tail.
Oh,
he
yeah,
has a
you're
cloud
right.
on his jacket. So
yeah,
why that random character design when that seems like such a good design to use somewhere else? I saw that. I'm like,
oddly specific.
Yeah, that's so weird. But not only do we see Duval, but we see Cammy and Hachi and everybody along with Shaki. Now that Rayleigh's with Monkey, we'll have to defend the ship. So there's that. But then here comes Kuma, and he's the one who came to see Rayleigh the other day. You're on our side, right? And that's where we leave it.
I think the implication being that he's not a pacifista. This is the real one.
Yeah, because he's holding that Bible.
He's got the Bible. Yeah, he's got the Bible.
So, how much of Kuma is still in there?
Yeah. So much about this character is just surrounded in complete mystery right now.
But we check in at some other places. Turns out the name of the island that the Kingdom of Alabasta is on is Sandy Island. What the original name?
Yeah, the Sand Kingdom. Well, there you go.
They're dealing with pirates, but we get to see Vivi and Karu looking at Luffy's article. It's like, is this some kind of fashion statement? No, this is Luffy.
Yeah, she's trying to break down whatever this is. That.
Yeah, she's trying to figure it out like all the others. Turns out here's Crocodile and Mr. One still, and they're marveling about, okay, what's he doing? He either has some sort of ulterior motive or he's insane. He's like, cheeky rascal. Is that spite directed at me? I'm fully recovered and proven I'm heading back to the wonderful new world. Are you coming with me? Of course. So Crocodile's heading to the new world.
It's interesting that whatever Luffy did, that Crocodile views it as like spiteful.
Yeah.
That's an interesting interpretation.
That's like one of the meanest faces we've ever seen him make.
Yeah, no, it's we got Crocodile back in action now too.
And not only that,
where will this go?
Buggy has rejoined with his former crew.
Yes, they're all crying and they're all just like, I think this is you know what? I'll never remember which one's Moji, which one's Kabaji. I'll never remember. One of them is just like, "Sea World, that's our captain who did that."
Moji's the one that looks like the sheep.
Okay, so Kabaji, I think it's Kabaji.
Yeah, Kabaji's
he was
the unicycle.
The unicycle guy. Yeah, okay. And of course, poor the lion's just thinking about food still.
Yeah, and I love how Alvida's just like, didn't you guys give up on Buggy right away?
Yes, right. I forgot about that.
And that's when Buggy shows Alvida that we got Captain John's treasure mark.
That's the doohickey that Luffy gave him.
Yes.
In Impel Down.
Yes, yeah. That is exactly it. It's interesting to see how Buggy's crew works and how Evita is still kind of with him, because he's like, oh man, you got a bunch of famous outlaws with huge bounties on their heads with you. How are you doing this?
Yeah, God, when you think about it, yeah, when you're like putting it in perspective, like Buggy's crew just got like a huge power boost.
Yeah, they really did.
For what was actually, for a while there, like pre-Impel Down, it was just like those three.
They were, they're definitely a bit of a joke now at this point. They still are, but they have strong people with them, including Mr. 3, who's still with them.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, all right, we got Mr. 3 here. I love this bit for Buggy where he's just like, do you know which way the wind blows in this world? It's not the east or the west. It blows for me.
And there's like, government sent a carrier bat with a message for you. Huh? How'd they know I was here? And we still don't know what that's all about.
Oh, my goodness.
All right. Well, let's get to chapter 594, Message, as we still have so much to cover. Good God.
So much, yeah.
Is there a stacking game involving rice crackers?
I don't know.
Here's Garp and Sengoku, and that's the silliest face we've ever seen Sengoku make.
Yeah. This is a couple of old men just having a blast together.
Yeah. Pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of old men, we haven't seen these guys in a while.
Yep, the 5 elders. And I love, we got a full page spread of them all just like deliberating. Just like, oh, Jesus Christ.
He's like, what's his connection to Rayleigh? Jinbei's fully against us. Because his joining symbolized peace and understanding between our species and the fishmen. The balance of the three great powers cannot be dependent on any longer. Who could we use to fill 7 warlords, 3 empty seats? They lost 3 warlords.
3 warlords, yeah. Yeah, because they lost Jinbei. They kicked out Moria and Blackbeard, I guess?
Yeah, I guess it would be Blackbeard.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, wait, I should know this because it's not that difficult. But yeah, Blackbeard, Moria, and Jinbei are all out of the warlords. Very interesting. It's like, all right, we just got to find the ones with the greatest influence after things have settled down. And Blackbeard's already starting his rampage, and he's even taken out one of the rookies worth over 100 million, which, not going well for our supernovas, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll get to them.
Yeah. He has an advantage because he knows Whitebeard's territories completely. It's very likely that he will be one of the
emperors to take Whitebeard's place. Yeah.
And
I love that they even posit that like only the remaining 4 could possibly defeat him, and maybe Marco with Whitebeard's crew.
Yeah. Even then, I mean, it does seem like a bit of a stretch.
I feel like that puts it into perspective of just how big of a problem Blackbeard is now. Like,
yes,
this is huge.
And yet they say the largest problem here is D. What happened with Ace? That name has become much too well known in recent years. We got a new man that's terrorizing the new world and potentially becoming one of the new emperor, and it's still the D that has them the most worried.
Yes, that is all I will say. Yes, that is correct.
Oh man, and we also learn that Garp has essentially resigned, retains his rank, because he's going to be training the young officers of the next generation. And we learned this from Kong, the World Government Military's commander-in-chief.
I think Kong is a recurring character. I cannot tell you. I feel like he shows up at some other point again, but like he's got a memorable design at least. Yeah. But I don't think he's like super important or anything. But I was like, oh, this is where Kong shows up, but I don't remember. I know I've seen him elsewhere, but
And this is where we learn something else. If you're going to resign as Fleet Admiral of the Navy, you could at least do as much, Sengoku.
So there we got news. Sengoku's retiring. He saw what happened at the war and was like, I'm out.
Yeah, it's like I think it's basically I failed.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I can't do this, and I completely forgot about him resigning. This shocked me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because I'm just so used to Sengoku being Fleet Admiral. But it's also interesting because now it makes sense to me why Oda didn't consider it a big deal to introduce his Devil Fruit in the main story.
Right, yeah, because if this is basically like, all right, yeah, he's done. Like, yeah, well, might as well. Again,
I don't think he's going to be a major player anymore. He might still be in some way, but not in the same way he was before.
I don't think he really is, but again, I still just find it so freaking funny that it's like, oh yeah, he is the human fruit Buddha model. Yeah, all right, don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's all. It's fine. It's okay.
Yeah, but the other interesting wrinkle in all this is that he recommends Aokiji to be the next admiral, the fleet admiral.
That is interesting. Between the three admirals, he chooses Aokiji, who seems to be the most decent guy, which I think might be the big reason for that. He also worked under Garp, which I think helps a lot.
Yeah, also, yeah.
But they're already rebuilding Navy headquarters. There's a lot of construction going down, and we know how fast these guys can work since we saw the carpenters of Water 7.
Yeah, you're right.
And now we learn just a few more details about this incident with Straw Hat. It's called the 16 Rings Incident. He's talking with Smoker. Aokiji is. He's like, yeah, people don't usually volunteer to go to G5, but there's nothing but problems there. It's like, it's in the new world. You're going to the new world, Smoker. It's like, no, I like to keep my enemies close. It's like, oh man, Smoker is still following Luffy. Followed him into the Grand Line, and he's going to follow him into the new world.
Yeah, that detail will come up again, that Smoker's going to G5. So that we want to commit that part to memory.
Okay. Good to know. And now it's time for Kobe to learn about hockey.
Yeah, which we saw towards the end of the war where he was like, oh God, I can hear the voices.
Yeah, and he's still hearing the voices. You can feel the presence of everyone around so strongly. It's like, all right, just have Garb teach you about it. And meanwhile, Helmuppo was like, no, you're getting way ahead of me. We can't let this happen. He's like, I don't get it. He's just freaking out. Also,
a fun detail is apparently all naval officers of vice admiral and higher have some form of hockey.
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah, I posited this. I think without getting too ahead of myself, with just based off of currently available information is how I will put this. But I think when Kobe, when that scene during the war happened, it was like, oh, it's like Mantra, where he can hear the voices of the people surrounding him. So like, but here they're just like, oh yeah, it's hockey. So it is interesting, kind of what connection that those two concepts might have.
They might be more connected than we think.
Uh-huh.
It's entirely possible. But now it's time to get a breakdown of what exactly Luffy did.
Yeah, finally.
So, everybody knows about his, he's adopted brother of Ace, son of Dragon, and Vice Admiral Garp's grandson. He was missing, but it's been confirmed he's alive and resurfaced at Navy headquarters. He's accompanied by Jinbei and Rayleigh. So, Marineford's workers are rebuilding the city, and spectators have gathered from around the world, including the press and civilians. They're all coming and going at will. So, there's a lot of incidents happening among the surviving pirates. So, all of our available troops are away from headquarters, so they struck when we were short-handed.
That is an interesting detail, because we've seen at Windmill Village and Alabasta as places that have had like an increase in pirate activity.
Yes, and those two places are able to sort of hold off the issues, thankfully. So of course, they known about it, and they came to steal a warship, and then they used that warship to circle Marineford once. That's the water burial ceremony of the sea. And after that, Luffy entered the plaza and rang the ox bell 16 times. So there's our 16 rings. He then threw a bouquet onto the shattered ruins of the plaza and observed a moment of peace. And the press, of course, took pictures of it. I love how all the Navy men are behind him trying to attack.
They're like, all this chaos. Meanwhile, he's taking a moment of silence.
We can also see there's some sort of writing on his arm.
Yeah, we can't quite make it out.
No, it honestly kind of reminds me of Ace's tattoo.
It does. It for sure does.
So it might be a sort of memorial to that.
Yeah.
But the pictures circulated around the world, and it highlights their failure to capture him. It's basically a huge humiliation.
Luffy's gone viral.
Yeah, he basically has gone viral. They're interpreting this as a way of mourning his brother, Whitebeard, and all who died in the Great Battle. That's what the moment of silence encircling the ship were, but the custom is to ring the bell just twice. He rang it 16 times, which is a direct challenge to authority.
I love that this ceremony is so specific. And that he kind of did it in a different way is sort of like, oh, what a great offense.
Yeah, I mean, it also ties back to like Luffy always going against the authority of the world government. Shoot down that flag. Exactly.
Yep.
Anything else.
He will always break tradition.
But it's time to check in on our supernovas, as Kid has already made it to the new world. That's when we get an explanation from Killer. about the Ox Bell. It's a sacred bell on the famous warship, the Ox Lloyd. It's rung each year 8 times to give thanks for the past year and 8 more to pray for the coming year. The Navy has a custom of ringing it 16 times. That's what 16 rings means. But this isn't the right time of year for it. This is his declaration that a new era has begun.
Man, when you put it like that, that is actually like really, that is huge.
Yeah. So some are interpreting it as the era of Whitebeard is over. The new one is his.
Yeah, which I think is why Crocodile was like, is this a challenge to me?
Yeah. It sort of makes sense from that aspect when you start getting the context. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, if it's not, then why would he bother coming back to the place where he lost his brother? That would be like rubbing salt in his own wounds. And that's when Kid is just like, of all of us with over 100 million, he's definitely in a league of his own, but I'm not so soft as to allow him to keep running free. I thought the new world would be more fun, but what's with these cowards? It's just like, hey, we were about to leave. Let's just return to paradise. It's like, wait, you mean the loving bosom of your family, paradise? Nah, if you're not prepared to die, don't come to these waters.
He's got a guy crucified.
He crucified this other pirate's captain and his crew, a lot of his crew.
It's a badass panel.
Oh, yeah, and he looks jacked in that scene. He is just solid brick.
I love, because we're going to kind of get updates on all the rest of the supernovas, but, like, Kid, by far, feels like he's having the most fun.
Yeah.
Well, he's disappointed. He's like, I thought it would be more fun here.
He is ready, and we get to see why his bounty is so high. We get to see that brutality we constantly heard about.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely, he's a rough one, that Kid.
Yeah, he is. Meanwhile, things are going a little different for Beige.
Yeah, suddenly his ship starts floating.
Yeah, it reminds me of it was like Strong World.
It's Shiki.
Yeah, what's Shiki doing? But no, instead this random meteor planet thing sucks him up.
Yeah, and it's just, I love, again, just like, I think what Oda's trying to convey is that anything can happen in the new world.
Absolutely.
That is what I feel like we're seeing here.
I just saw this and I'm like, going to you, it's like, what the hell happened to Beige?
I do not know.
That makes no sense.
Based on where I know he ends up, I don't think this has any connection to it. It really is just kind of a non sequitur. Just like, all right, he's gone.
Yeah. We saw all the weird things on the Grand Line. It's like, we got to step up our game. So abductions, I guess. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There you go.
Aliens. I don't know.
Also, I love the little detail that I just realized now for Beige where he's constantly eating dinner.
Yeah.
He needs to because he's supplying an entire army in his body.
That is true. Yeah. And I just, again, every time Beige is on screen, it's like, it feels like he's out of a different comic entirely.
Yeah. He does not seem like one of the supernovas. He's just
a mob boss.
The least important of the supernovas, but
yeah. When we get back to him, I adore that whole thing, but we'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. I wouldn't call him unimportant, at least.
That makes sense. But we go back to the Grand Line as Luffy is returning to Amazon Lily. And you just have all the women pulling on him again,
poking and prodding at him. Yep. apparently Hancock fainted.
And it's like, we're watching you to make sure you get some rest, as they just pull on him all the time.
Yep.
And he just hopes that they'll get the message, which is very interesting. He's definitely conveying some sort of message to the crew.
Yeah, and Rayleigh breaks it down where it's like, the actions are unusual for you. That's the key. So then he says, one man who doesn't seem very sharp. Well, I'm sure he'll be fine.
The funny thing is we know exactly who he's talking about.
Yeah.
Poor Zoro.
Yes.
But now it's time to see everybody get the message, where that's when Chopper's like, I got it. And Robin's understood. Is like, all right. It's just, and Zoro, of course, is like, Perun is holding up the paper for Zoro because he can't hold up his own arms. And it's like, this isn't something Luffy would normally do. Rayleigh was with him, so he must have planned it. There has to be something going on here. So there's our one that's not quite getting it.
Well, he's like, hold on, there's something. He's getting there. I love it. Everybody else is like, all right, we got it.
Yep. And then we see Frankie, who is scary as hell.
Yeah, his skin got blown off in the explosion.
Oh, no. Poor Frankie. That That is terrifying.
Love that. He's just like, I see. Yes, he doesn't seem too worried about it.
Meanwhile, freaking Brooke is getting a newspaper while he's behind bars as they're showing him off as like the world's only living skeleton. Oh dear. God. I don't fully understand the splash at the bottom there. I'm not sure what that indicates.
I think it's just a shot of the ocean, just,
But it definitely shows that the crew has got the message. But it's time to return to the new world as we see what Hawkins is up to as he's doing more of his fortune telling. And hey, remember Brownbeard?
I actually forgot that I thought this was his first appearance. Even
oh, really?
Just met him. Yeah, I had forgotten. I was like,
Brownbeard was one of the ones that's like, now that Whitebeard's gone, this is the era of Brownbeard. And it's like, this guy is going to be totally, I thought he was going to be used as a punching bag for the Straw Hats at some point, but no, turns out it's Hawkins.
Yeah. Well, I love Hawkins is like, your name is so ridiculous, I thought I misheard you. Let me tell you two things. One, I hate jokes.
2, the shadow of death is on your face. And we find out that Brownbeard only had a bounty of 80 million.
It's great. He's just, it's the era of Brownbeard. It's finally his time.
It's time to learn something about the new world. As we see Rouge see a rain of lightning, which is...
It's just like, how are we supposed to land?
He's seeing a rain of lightning and an old woman coming up on a small boat who asks, do you want an umbrella?
That seems horrifying.
And that's how the chapter ends as far as characters. But that's not the part that sticks out to me. Not the old woman, not the rain of lightning. It's the narration. Every hardened warrior who sets foot in the new world even once describes the first half of the Grand Line the same way. That part of the sea was paradise.
Which, I love it. I love the build-up.
Everybody was warning everyone about the Grand Line when we were still in the East Blue. It's like, that's a place of death. You can't survive. It's too much. No, that was a cakewalk compared to the new world, and that is exciting.
Yes, and it's fun finally seeing it. Just like, again, we saw Kid was like, yeah, this is great, and then all of the sort of random nonsense happening to everybody else. Although Hawkins, is like, okay, he met Brownbeard. He doesn't seem too intimidated.
Yeah. So far, the only ones that seem to be doing okay is Kid and Hawkins.
Yeah.
But it's time for our final chapter of the set, 595, The Pledge, as we get to see the entire crew with their own Jolly Roger on their tattoos.
Yeah, everybody's got tattoos.
I love this line, by the way. It's astounding how fast the time fleets.
Which, oh boy, that feels how that is ever true.
For sure. Also, that is totally Robin, and that is Robin in full relaxation mode. Glass of wine, reading a book.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. I miss this. Stop it.
And they're still not together. There's some sort of message they're getting, but they're not together. But near the Saboti archipelago, Lal is, of course, not in the new world.
He's chilling.
Yeah, and he's not going back to the new world. He's like, nah, should wait for the right time. The One Piece isn't going anywhere. And the Blackbeard and his crew are wreaking havoc. So if they want to kill each other, let them. I'm not going to get mixed up in any pointless fights. So shut your mouths, follow me. I'll take my rightful place when the time comes. And that just excites me.
Law looks like he has a plan.
Oh, yeah. He's not rushing head first. There's something to him.
Yeah. And again, I definitely feel like that is also very telling of kind of like, all right, who's going straight into the new world? Who's kind of realizing like, no, let's try and figure things out. Like I like that we're seeing that everybody has their own approach to things. And oh boy, let me tell you, Law's got plans.
It definitely comes across that way. But it's next time to see how Drake is doing. He's on a winter island in the new world. And that's where we learn from somebody else that this is a favorite island of Kaido, one of the 4 emperors. He's been assigned to guard it. And Drake's like, so what do you want me to do? It's like, oh no, I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just warning you. Don't make him mad. So if I take your head, Kaido will come for me? Yeah, that's right. Oh, simple enough. It's like, oh, Drake has a beef with Kaido.
Yeah, and he just activates it. It's just that shot of him, like, oh, seems simple enough, and you just see him turn into a dinosaur. Is so cool.
T-Rex Drake with that hat is friggin' awesome.
It's so cool.
I am very curious what Drake's all about.
Yep.
He might be the most mysterious.
For sure. Yeah. There's some things that's going on.
Meanwhile, Apu is in a spring island, and they're getting chased by a bunch of wild boars. So, yeah, not going well for them. But there's a cliff. They're going to jump off the cliff and get away. It turns out, no, they're running on thin air.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, okay, sure. All right. I guess gravity is weak on this island.
I love how that stuff's happened now, and I don't even blink. It's like, oh, sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, for sure. I got nothing. Mm-hmm. I got nothing. Oh, but then we get to this is maybe the most meaty section. There's a lot of really interesting things to think about here.
Yeah. It also, Blackbeard has a call sign. He visits your island and raids it. It's going to end up on fire.
Yes, yes, it is. Although, given that there was a lightning island, I kind of wonder if it was always just on fire.
That's a good question. But their raft ship has been damaged, so they're trying to, they need a new ship, basically.
Yeah, and I love that Shiryu is just like, trying to sail through the New World on a raft was reckless to begin with. Like, dear God, y'all.
And Shiryu's just like, oh, you're all rash and unprepared. It's like, and then all of a sudden, here's Pizarro. He's like, let me be the leader. Let me take your place, Teach. And that's when Lafitta's like, when we kill you, don't forget, we're the Blackbeard pirates.
Yeah, God, these guys feel like now that we've got like kind of the full crew, they are just chaos incarnate.
Yeah, they are. There is no loyalty amongst them.
No, not a single bit.
But we find out which of the supernovas was captured by Blackbeard. Bonnie.
Yeah.
Her men are knocked out. She is chained up. Not in great shape for her.
And Blackbeard's trying to propose.
Yeah, it's like, I don't need you in my crew, but I could use a woman. It's like,
Yeah,
no.
and then she just kicks him.
Yeah, she just takes care of him.
Gets a good hit on him.
Bonnie might be one of my favorites of the supernovas.
Yeah, no, she's great. She's so cool.
It's like, women should have class. I have enough ruffians on my crew.
No, poor Blackbeard.
Seriously. That's when they find out the Navy has shown up. And it's like, oh, crap. Well, there's a ship that we can take. And it's like, I don't think it's a present for us because Aka Inu is on it.
They're just like, what?
Yeah, it's like,
all right, Blackbeard's time to skedaddle.
Yeah, we're not ready for this yet. So let's get out of here. And where we leave off is Aka Inu finding Bonnie still chained up.
Yeah. This line, very fascinating. We will not learn what this means for a very, very long time, where Aka Inu says, a cold shiver ran through me when I heard you'd run away from the government, but now it's all over. What does that mean? I kind of know what that means.
I have no idea what that means. My only thought is she's also ex-Navy, or she's a runaway slave.
There's We'll see. Well, again, I was talking to you about this last night, but it's just like this scene it gives you nothing for 15 real life years.
I wonder if there'll be constant little clues, like in the same way as Kaido.
Yeah,
just
I feel like
Kaido kept showing up just in mention for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean we've seen it before. Like we've been talking about Vegapunk since post Enies Lobby, and it's like, when are we going to see that guy?
Yeah. But it's time to return to Mary Joa, as here's Doflamingo and their benefactor that's apparently even higher than Sengoku. We don't see that person's face. We don't see anything of them. But we do know that Moria is alive. He disappeared, vanished, thanks to the shadow fruit. But, he's almost dead anyway. It's too late for him no matter what he does.
He doesn't care. Again, as always, Doflamingo's just laughing it up.
Until this guy, this benefactor says, can't you do your job right? He's like, nah, watch your mouth. When did you become my boss? I don't care how much pull you have with the government. I'm a pirate. That has nothing to do with me. If I lose interest in our deal, I can quit being one of the 7 warlords anytime. Don't forget that.
Man, it's...
Doflamingo is absolutely the wild card.
He has a lot of power. He seems like... So my interpretation of this, just because, like, just based kind of off of the general outfit, I think this person might be a CP agent.
Ah, that makes sense.
I don't know for sure. That is just a slightly educated guess, especially since they're in Mary Joa, but he's got like the world government logo behind him.
Yeah.
So I don't think he's anybody important, but I think it is sort of the implication that like there is some sort of deal going on here, and Doflamingo just doesn't care about anything.
No. But now it's time to shift gears away from checking in on how other people of the world are doing and to go back to the crew. Because Chopper has returned to the Birdie Kingdom, even though he's trying to play it off as he's somebody different.
I'm Chopper Mask, yeah. Well, this is sort of alluding to what I thought about before, where I was like, the idea that Chopper went back is fascinating.
Yeah. Something about what Luffy showed, this symbol, told him to go back. And it gives you an idea of what that might have been, because Chopper starts seeing like there was a lot of plants in the trees I've never seen in any book before. I want to study them. I need to train and get stronger too. I'm going to be really busy. And then he sees their library that's just like so much stuff, and they have pharmaceutical technology. It's like, even though they look like tribal people, they are immensely high tech and have a lot of knowledge, which is pretty cool.
Might accomplish a lot in this land.
Yeah. I also like how it's like, they look like a tribe of primitive savages, but their technological achievements are impressive. And he's like, you maybe not aware that you're thinking aloud, but that first part was really rude.
Yeah. I love that. We just move on from that.
And we get a flashback to when he got recruited by Luffy to come with him. And he's like, just how they had to run away. It's like, I don't want to experience that again. It must have felt even worse for Luffy. Ever since you let me join, I didn't care what anybody said about me. So in order to help you, I'd even become a real monster. I'm going to get stronger for sure. And then we go to Sanji in the Come Back to Queendom. And Sanji has changed his mind.
I love how he flips the script.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, there was a secret message in it, but only the members of Luffy's crew can understand. But you don't believe I'm a Straw Hat Pirate, so I'm not telling you what it was.
Yeah, even comes like, you're so annoying. Their dynamic is so wonderful.
It truly is. But now it's time to get sort of what Sanji's all about, where he discovers this dish that tastes good and makes power channel through him. Turns out this is attack cooking. Plenty of chefs on the island who can make it. If the entire world drank milk every day, crime would disappear from the face of the planet. Can you believe that? Okay, sure.
Why not? Yep.
But food is part of the environment. It affects your physique, personality, your whole body. This food goes all out. And turns out it's building your body through cooking. And just helps him become stronger and help Nami and Robin become even sexier. Which...
just even comes like, what am I supposed to do with him?
But he wants to learn, and Ivankov says no.
Yeah, just kicks him in the face.
The 99 vital recipes have been passed down through the Kamabakta Queendom. They're part of bride training, one of the new Kama's secret arts. I'm not teaching them to a stranger. But if you want to learn, you have to have the heart of a maiden and learn our new Kama karate. Heck yeah.
Yeah, of course Sanji's like, I wasn't born to be the friend of women. I was born to love them like a man. Just like,
I'm not being friend zoned, even though he's always friend zoned.
Yeah, there's something about this that I think works for me. I'm trying to figure out what it is, because I feel like some of this stuff should be kind of eye rolly, but like I love how committed Sanji is to the bit, and you know that it almost feels like how a child would view being a man. So it's kind of adorable almost.
It's helped balanced by the even bigger personality of Eva, who's not threatened by this whatsoever and is able to talk down to him. Yeah, I think that's it. And then he's just, all right, like, here's your challenge. Like, you get the 99 masters of do Kama karate on the island. I'll give each one a recipe. If you're really a pirate, steal those recipes. But all of the new Kama masters will try to put you in this adorable dress day and night. We'll see how long you remain a man. So we're kind of trying to challenge Sanji's own concept of manhood here. Yeah. Which I do think,
I am a little disappointed with where that goes, and it is more treated just as kind of a joke, but I feel like you have to dig for it, but there is development in here.
There is. And
yeah.
I do wish it had been handled better for him because, we will see that in the future.
Yeah, the worst is yet to come. Don't worry.
Yeah, I wish it'd be leading to more of an appreciation.
We'll get there, but not because of this. Not because of this.
Of course, we flash back to him, and it's like, nah, I'll endure this hell, and I accept the challenge, and that's how we end. Mm-hmm. I think we know how this is going to go from this point.
Yeah, obviously, we'll find out more about this next week, but like, I feel like it's very telling that, again, our last two scenes of this chapter was not like, okay, we need to go to Sabaody to meet back up, with the rest of the crew. It is now, like, we saw Chopper was leaving and was like, I'm going to go back and train. And then now we have Sanji, okay, like, I need to learn about this attack cooking thing. And I need to learn how to be a better chef to develop Nami and Robin's bodies. Or what have you.
and the other guys, I suppose.
Yeah, and it's like, the focus has shifted, right? Mm-hmm. Clearly, whatever the main goal is right now, it is there's something more important than getting the crew back together. So
yes, and it seems to be leading into a training arc.
Yeah. I think if you've read enough shonen manga at this point, you gotta know, like, all right, which is wild because when you think about it, we haven't had any.
No,
we haven't had.
By this point in most manga, there is like 2 or 3 training arcs.
You're right. Yeah, seriously. It's wild that it kind of took this long to get to this point, but I love now that it's been this long, we kind of know, like, okay, yeah, everybody is a little maybe not quite ready yet for the new world. And I think that's
we've reached our limit.
I think that's kind of what the purpose of the supernovas was in this section, because we're kind of seeing, if they're all around the same level as Luffy, give or take, or at least around the same bounty level, it's like, yeah, you got some folks like Kid who are just like, yeah, this is great. And then others are just like, oh, dear God, what is going on?
And they're all over 100 million. Meanwhile, the only one on the crew that's over 100 million is Zoro. So the others need to catch up, need to get stronger for this new world because, well, not even Luffy could handle it. the upper echelon of what's coming. And it seems like even Law realizes that he can't handle it.
Yeah. It's very, very fascinating. Well, there's again, there was so much setup and so much just like kind of character check-ins and world building going on here, and it's fun knowing how much of this will pay off later. Again, there's some stuff like I don't know what on earth happened to Beige, but like we're sort of seeing all of the little ideas being planted for the future. So. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. We will get to them in due time.
I am super excited because with that, I believe we've said all we wanted to say about chapters 591 to 595 of One Piece. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I am at Brandon Bovia on Twitter talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. I'm really excited for next week. If you've been listening, thank you for sticking with us this whole time. I think next week is going to be really interesting.
Next week should be a lot of fun. It's one we've been excited for a while.
Yes, sir.
So if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 596 to 600 of One Piece. So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
I'm afraid you're not tough enough to cut it as a member of my crew. But hey, I might be willing to let you tag along if you promise to be my girl. That sound like a deal to you? Huh?
No!